This is real. This is real.
We're really live. We made it. Hey, everybody. It's me, your boy Josh from Mini Painting Studio, here again for Miniature Monday. I don't think that's a good... All right, just roll it back. If you want to roll it back, we'll just do it again.
No, I got you. Here, we'll roll it back.
Yeah, just roll it back. We'll do it. We'll try a different one. I got a better one. Hold on. Just waiting on our production team here.
It's not actually.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Good afternoon, Reaperland. It's me, Josh Davis from Mini Painting Studio for another fresh episode of Miniature Monday. Was that? I just don't. We'll figure it out. It's fine. So anyway, here we are for a fresh new kit, hanging out at Reaper HQ, of course, going over our streaming schedule that seems to change every time I have to talk about it. But I do know that I'm here on Mondays. Remember, Anne's show is... Josh without a hat, what is happening? Thank you, chat. Anne shows Tuesday through Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Then we have Terrain Tuesday with Ed. Is the catapult done, or is he painting it? What's going on?
Painting it this week.
Painting the catapult this week.
Hey, that's a trebuchet.
Trebuchet. Sorry, yeah. I don't want to
it's behind
misidentify
you.
it. Okay, yeah, it's way up there. You guys can't see it. And then Wednesday, painting platinum. Thursday is...
What do you say, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
In the morning, we have pro tips with Anne.
Right.
That's a first.
Oh, strong boy.
What's Wednesday afternoon?
Painting platinum.
No, that's Thursday.
Oh, that's Thursday?
Anne is Wednesday double show. 11
Oh.
a.m. and at 3 p.m.
Double stream from Anne, and then Friday is Reaperland and Reaper Live.
Yeah, Reaper Bones 5 Live.
Boom, boom. So there you go. That's all the things that we've got going off. So there's that. Hi, background John. Sydney says hello in the chat.
Hey.
So, but we also have all the miniatures for February. We finally made it. We made it out of the blizzard that we were stuck in for January. So if we want to look over these fine minis we're going to be working on this month, let's go into our little close cam situation here.
Also, thank you for the raid, Maharoon.
Thank you. So, this month, our hero is our wonderful looking wizard here. Look at how nice he's looking today under our nice new lighting. So you can see we're going for a very a little bit of a play on red and green using really warm brown tones and then a very muted green to do some nice contrast there. This is just a really great exercise in highlighting up some robes, things like that. Just, your very, very simple, ready to rock and roll wizard. This is a metal mini as well, so like last month, we'll have a video of any prep required. This guy's really easy, so not as intense. I know if you watched that video, I did pin it and did some stuff like that, so not this time around. Our NPC, did that help?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Our NPC this month is, I forget his name, but we have the Friar here. Another good example of using multiple different tones of brown to help pick apart belts, bags, pouches, and satchels, whatever you've got going on there. Then we've got, let's see. Then we have our large monster. I don't know, did that blow it out more by turning that off? I feel like it may have.
Yeah, I'm about to go adjust it on this end over here.
Okay. So then we have the big Yeti shaman here that you can see. Different things going on in the fur this time around. I know if you watched Anne's videos where she was doing the, I believe it was a polar bear. I can't quite remember. So she did a little bit differently with sort of some like tan and yellowish hues. I went for sort of a deeper pinker tone. And you can sort of see that built in. Same sort of hue that we used on the face is what we were building in elsewhere. And then, of course, we've got those sweet crystals that we have going around his neck, as well as the weapon here that wasn't really necessarily supposed to look like ice, but it's supposed to look like this bad boy that we have painted up that we're going to be doing today. Now, I warned as many of you as I could to apply some type of see-through coat to this miniature before we get started, but I believe Justin has a photo he'll be able to grab here within a while as we talk about these.
3 seconds.
There you go. So as we're talking about these, you'll be able to see sort of the difference between the two start and finish, but all this is some washing and then some edge work, so don't freak out too much. It's not too crazy, but this is the crystal golem, so that's why his crystals are painted up blue so that they sort of match. But let me get a light going here on my phone. Doop, so you can get an idea. Dun, da, da, da. Don't stare into the sun. So this miniature is still translucent, except for parts that we are going to be painting today. So you can see that right here. Down towards the legs, it's obviously more opaque. The center of the arms are still see-through completely. All of the crystals on its back are see-through, and the chest is pretty see-through. And then, of course, we remove that, and you can see everything else we got going on. I'll blow it up even more, right? Super light, so you can see a little bit better what's happening. And then if you have that photo available...
Yeah, I'm having to email it.
Aha! All right, cool. We can just do it this way, too. The photo's a little bit better, but so you can get an idea. Let's see. So we also have this guy right here. This is the miniature that is only primed with a gloss varnish. Now then, that being said, don't stress too much if you're not someone that owns a gloss varnish or a gloss sealer. You can also use a brush-on matte varnish if you'd like. Or if you even have a spray varnish, you can... Now, of course, it will still be translucent. It just won't be shiny. So that's the only real difference there. So one thing I am warning immediately, just because it was something I was aware of when I was painting it, and I just know it's what we're going to run into here today. While we are building our colors down on this miniature, it is going to be hard to see in front of you, and it's going to be hard to see on camera for probably 10 to 15% of our paint job's lifetime. Just know that once we get back past some of the darkening of these different areas of the body, it'll start to show up. But so here's a photo of these two side by side. You can see it here. Watch, I'm gonna do a cool zoom thing. Whoop, you know it. So there you go. You can see on the left, we lose pretty much all definition because we make it so shiny. It also increases the, the aquaness, I should say, of the miniature itself. And then on the right, that is the finished bad boy right there. And you can even see in the arms some of that base color shining through. So as with most of the stuff that we've been working on so far, don't freak out. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors, as all painting is, by using mostly washes. And then we just hold our breath and stick out our tongues as we paint little lines all across the body. And that's pretty much it. So we can go ahead and get rocking. But I hope everybody has had a great weekend and the rest of the week from last week, as we finished up our, what was it, the Hero Mini. I know I've seen some of your paint jobs previously. Remember, you can send those in directly. You can send them if you want to at reaperlive at reapermini.com. You can put them on any social media, so on Twitter, send it to the Reaper account, the Instagram, tag us, whatever you want to do. People are putting it on Reddit, they're putting it in the Facebook group, all over the place. Remember, we are saving the images of your work, and then that will allow us to show it off at our little community review show at the end. So I think it's going to be the last Monday in March, I believe, and that's when we're going to sit down and look at everybody's paint jobs and go over it and do all that cool stuff. So, but anyway, we can go ahead and attempt to get started. So we do have a brand new month. Let's talk about the colors. Oh, of course, I was a big old dum-dum and mixed them with the base colors, but it's all good. So we're going to look at these paints here. So for those of you that bought the kit, these are all the colors that come in the kit that build the palette that we'll be using this month. So we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a look. So we're missing two colors here. Tarnished Copper and what we got? Dark Elf Shadow. So let's check it out. First color right here is Tarnished Copper. Don't be too confused. This is not a metallic color. This is just straight up a Tarnished Copper regular color, a matte color, non-metallic, right? But it's just a very, very nice, awesome, warm tone. Sort of similar to Intense Brown. I believe there's a little bit more orange and red mixed in with that. Then we also have Deep Red here. Description, pretty on point in the name. We have Highland Moss, which is a grayed out green. That's the green that we were using on the wizard. That was pretty predominantly used in his robes. We have a new off-white this time around. We've got Ghost White. Ghost White's pretty cool. It is like a very slightly tinted gray. It's like the color blue is a sleeping angel on a cloud, and you just don't want to wake it. It's just very gently mixed in there. So pretty cool color. Then we have, we're going to call this Brio NA Blue. Brio NA Blue is really nice. It's your standard sort of slap it on, use it for anything. It's not too bright, so it is a little bit darker. You may, wash on top of that and highlight it up.
I think the E is silent. It's Brony.
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, we have Brony Blue here. Say Brony Blue 10 times fast. I'm sure it works really well. Here we have Dork Elf Shadow. Dork Elf Shadow is a really great color. If you could guess, it is some variation of a sort of grayed out darker purple. Then, of course, we have Surfaqua. Surfaqua is a really, really good color as well. You can see that it's water soluble. You can shake well, and it's made in the Yusa. So all of your needs that you could possibly want for doing work on a Surfaqua crystal golem, we're going to be doing that today. And finally, not to be forgotten, now this says Brains Pink, right? If you actually look online, I'm pretty sure it says Brains Pink. At least it did on my receipt. There were about 4 extra A's. So I highly suggest for those of you that didn't buy the kit, just go to the website, add 09281 to your cart, and just look at what it says. And I think it says Brains. So anyway, that is all of the colors we're going to be rocking with today. Now then, what we need up front most immediately is going to be our Noir or Black, or our Nightmare Black, whichever you possess. Yes, we know there was a slight confusion last month with those colors. That's why we're going to be using them both indefinitely. And then we also want our Brony Blue. Brony Blue, of course, is going to be sort of the base as we shade down this crazy looking dude to turn into our final product. So, but that's pretty much it. I did see somebody ask in the chat, they're like, hey, are you going to show how the basing's done? No, but as per the powers at B, my powers here at Reaper they're upgrading and growing every single week, it feels like. And so now a part of the powers of this show is that I'll be able to show you how I actually base the miniatures. So starting next month, sort of like how we had the preparation videos, there will be a full, whatever it is, if I'm basing them all at the same time, or if I'm basing just one of the miniatures at a time, all of that stuff will be available for you, uploaded in a link somewhere. I know I had also requested to get a web page, so like reapermini.com/miniature Monday, where we host all those things for you, so I don't get a million messages every day about people being like, where do I find the link? So that, of course, is not going to be immediate. The webmaster has all kinds of, fun work that they do all the time, but that request has been put in, so hopefully it becomes a reality. So we're going to get some of the Brony Blue in here, and then I'm going to drop some Nightmare Black just above it. I'll just go ahead and show you here how I'm prepping it. Nightmare Black, of course, is a crazy deep blue. Remember, if you can, since we are now into a new month, double check if you are someone with Amazon Prime that you can subscribe to our Twitch channel here for free. Remember, you can click that subscribe button in the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on mobile, I have no idea where it is. I think it's you scroll down a little bit, do a little something like that.
Yeah, you got to do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, do some crazy stuff like that, but you will be prompted, hey, if you have an Amazon account, you know what? They'll probably let you do that and you'll get something out of it. So definitely check that out. Thank you, Cyberstorm. You can see they've been a subscriber for 5 months. That's always really cool. But definitely check that out if you can. Now then, last weekend, I hit my Patreon number. So big shout out to all the new Patreon folks that have joined in the last month. But I did hit my goal to start giving a second class a month starting at $5. So what that means is you pay me $5 a month, $1.25 an hour, and you're getting 4 hours around that, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, of video content every single month. And if you sign up today, you automatically get 60 hours of content, boom, ready for you right then and there. So remember, you can check out all that stuff at patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. But we made that change, and I know I announced that this weekend. So you still have time this month if you want to hop in. If you're joining at one of the higher tiers where I mail you something in the mail every single month, you have a few days before that happens as well. But We did unlock that secondary class. The next goal for the class is adding a secondary advanced stream. Starting at the $10 level, we do advanced classes as well every month. And so it'll get better and better the more people hop on there and support me directly as well. And then my last little dumb plug that a lot of you have been hopping on board with and helping me out even more. Do you need to buy something from Amazon today? Do you want to just like be cool and throw me some pennies of whatever you buy? You can go to minipainting.studio, click that Amazon button at the top of the screen, and then just go shopping. Buy whatever you need. And guess what? They'll give me a little scratch on the back, and it's really fun. So feel free to do that as well. It also takes you to a link with all of my updated supplies and everything that I use every single day, and you can check out what I use when I paint at home. So that's enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Thank you for the raid, Great Paladin Art.
Haha, thank you. So now you can tell that this guy is obviously much, much dorker than the guy here on the left. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work, right? The way that we're actually going to do that is I've mixed a little bit of the Noir, Brony, and Nightmare Black together. You can really use one or the other depending on what you own. That, of course, being the Noir or Nightmare, just to make it a bit darker. And we are focusing on the left and right wrist and hand, the footsie tootsies, all the way from the waist down. So we are going to get right in his craggly crack, all the way down to the cankles. We're ignoring the back, we're ignoring the chest, and we're going for the face. So we're just going to jump right in and pretend like we know what's going on here. Now then, this actually looks really beautiful whenever you start applying a wash like this onto something gloss. Like it really looks like you have a crystal in front of you just because it's so reflective. But this is what I did to start building in all of our color. Washing this on top, it's probably a 2-part water, 1-part paint mixture. So I had this little thing right there. Oh yeah, when do I get an emote? I mean, I can give you the file. It'll be a picture of Arthur. Can we get Arthur as an emote?
I'm down for that.
There you go.
Yes, please.
All right, we got Arthur as an emote. Everybody said it. So I just have a big old mix of it here. And I'm going to wash over the face. Now, again, remember, I did tell you, a part of this whole process is just going to be kind of hard to see at first, because how do you even see what's happening, right? It's just so reflective. You just got to wait for it to dry. Of course, this paint is not reflective or glossy at all. So when it does begin to dry, it'll be like, ah, okay, now I can actually see a little bit better what's happening. But you can kind of tell what's happening here. I'm just making sure it's pooling over the fists and the wrists. And pulling it that way as well. And I did say we were going for the craggly crack, so you see we're going to attack that first.
Thanks for the tier 1 sub there, Trash.
Trashorama, thank you. And we're going to wash this down all the way to the feet. Now then, I definitely feel like I need more of some darkness here, so I'm going to add a little bit. Boop, there we go. No, we kick John out, for sure. Once we get rolling, John stops trolling. That's how we did it.
Yeah, once we get rolling, it's just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. I know you're resisting the urge right now.
You and I.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. See, what you guys don't know is that there's a Reaper karaoke every Saturday, and that's Justin and our song. So I know we have the Ronning Man challenge going on, but we can also do a You and I challenge. And, you know, if we get enough people using the hashtag in the chat, we may just have to record a rendition. Now, sorry, I take it back. You'll have to buy a ticket to ReaperCon and then see it live. There you go. I think that's, you know, if I'm using my best business brain, I think you'd have to spend some money to see it. But see, he didn't disagree. So there we go.
I feel like we may have to pay people to see it, though.
That's not how being an internet entertainer works. They buy the tokens and they pay with the tokens. All right, that's how we do it.
Hey, Reaper Harley.
Boop. FedEx is trying to call me to apologize.
Oh, FedEx.
Oh my gosh. She's gonna be like, you didn't. Well, what it is, I know who it is. She's being nice by trying to call, but sorry, I'm busy, lady. So, pulling this stuff into the miniature yet again. We're going to have to wait for this application to dry. I'm getting it to where, I wonder if we can do it this way. Hold on. Okay. There we go. So, you see all that wet paint on the right fist there? You can see how it's pretty much opaque. It's just super wet, right? That's the level that I'm going for here. I want it to be not really translucent, maybe on the edges, and that's it. That's all I'm looking for. So, I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to do the same application here. Down the craggly crack, down the back, onto this hand and arm and wrist. We're just going to wait a second. We're going to let all this dry before we start going in all gung-ho like we know what's going on in life. And start highlighting things up and playing around with the edge work and all that good stuff. So, now then, if this really scares you, or if you didn't have a way to coat this miniature with something clear first, you can technically just wash paint on top. It is a Bones Mini. It'll be a little hydrophobic, so just keep that in mind. Your application may take a few more layers than what we're going to end up doing here, just because it doesn't have that sort of base layer to grip to. But it'll still work for you. Don't worry about it too much. And yeah, we're just going to wait for paint to dry. Exciting, I know. So, if you have any questions in the chat, drop them. And I will be addressing your concerns, of course, as we wait for things to dry. So, all right, cool. I'm done with that for now. We're going to let that dry. What's weird, too, with this surface, it dries pretty quickly. Trashorama, not for Warlord, I see. That's right, not for Warlord. I'm trying to think if someone actually has a crystal golem for Warlord. I'm not... Maybe the Bloodstone Gnomes or whatever they're called. I don't remember exactly. My Reaper lore knowledge is fading me there. But... I know. It was funny when I did the tour with John and Rick from Rick Rolls America. Check out that page as well. My buddy Rick was in town. It was funny because we went through the paint room and I saw like unlabeled bottles just sort of in a giant bin. And I was like, oh, that is blank. And then John's like, you know the colors? I'm like, yeah, of course I do, man. I stare at them all the time. So, could you airbrush that coat? Yes, you can. It actually makes it a little bit easier too because it keeps the surface from being as hydrophobic. So if you're airbrushing it and it's drying relatively quickly on the miniature, you'll get sort of a beaded texture at first, like a little bumpy eggshell texture. Then it will smooth out as things begin to dry. So, because I did that with the one that we're painting today. I hand did it with the original one that you guys have seen, the painted version, and then I applied it with airbrush the second time around. So.
Also, I wanted to, while we have our full force here, thank those of the ones here in chat who joined me on my premiere stream this weekend. I streamed video games, and I had like 10 people show up, and it was amazing. Trash was there briefly. Planer was there. You know, a lot of the regulars who really want to see me succeed.
Oh, there you go.
No guilt trip at all. But no, really though, thanks guys for showing up. We had a lot of fun. Next, we have to stream with Josh here.
Yeah, we've already been talking about setting that up. So, what do you think about the practice of only painting one side of what? Finish that out, and I might be able to answer that for you. Can you also show us how to stain a clear mini a different color of gem? Well, I don't have a clear miniature, and that's not what we're doing today, so unfortunately. But you do the same thing we're doing now, right? If this guy was completely see-through, right, and you already coated it to where it could accept some color of wash or whatever, what we're applying would turn it blue. So that's essentially how it would happen. Painting one side of a translucent mini, so you mean like, I guess I'm just lost, Evil Elvis, at what you're describing. I would have to see a picture, because if you're painting, let's say, the back side of a translucent mini, then it's going, like, the light's going to hit a wall and not reflect back through it, so it's going to look really dull. And then if you paint the front of a translucent mini, then the back of it translucent. I mean, I guess you're assuming, like, if it's someone that is going from invisible to being visible, then yeah, you could do it that way, like they're transitioning from being invisible.
That was going to be my question, is how well could you make that? In fact, you know what? I challenge you to make something like that and then watch us see it. Or let us see it, not watch us see it. That'd be cool. I'm just saying. I trust you could do it, Josh.
Oh, I mean, I know I can. That's not the issue, but it's just time. Actually, maybe we can pick one for the upcoming months.
Okay.
Because we're deciding stuff at the end of the show here. We're going to have a little meeting and figure out all the miniatures we're going to be doing for April, May, and June, I believe. So
I also low-key want to see how it's done.
yeah, I mean, it's really same idea, right? So, hey, Zip. Yeah, I haven't had time to edit that file. I had somebody else ask, but they wanted the poster size of it, so because they're here in the U.S. and that means I need to like the file I was editing for you. Now I have to make the huge version, which then I can shrink, but I had to stop what I was doing. So, would the clears do a good job doing this? Was the implementation better served with more opaque paint? Well, the clears wouldn't. I mean, no. You want to use the paints that we're doing here. Obviously, the clears are clear paint. If you are applying it that way, it'll still be translucent. You can build up to an opaque level with the clear paint. It's just more of an application, and then at that point, you would be shading it down anyway. Now, you could take a clear color and then water it down and wash it over the whole miniature if you have clear blue, right? You could do that. And then you're just going to be washing it down on top of that. But you wouldn't want to just sort of paint on top, I don't believe. So looking at our miniature here, if you want to zip back to our close cam. So you can see as it begins to dry, we're now all of a sudden shifting closer to that initial color. Or not initial, but final color. So you can see specifically on the shin, you can see sort of that base color that we've painted into there. We're going to go a little bit deeper. You can see it's starting to dry nicely. Only the real Miniature Monday fans know that there is no free. Even though that is changing in the future, but...
It will, yes.
Yeah. And then we'll sort of do it from behind here, or below, I guess. So you can see where those opaque colors now are pooling. Now, more of that has been applied than what we're seeing, but that's just purely opaque in all the recesses and everything like that. So we're almost ready to move forward. We're almost there. The free is the knowledge. Oh, thank you, Chef of Love. So, I am going to darken this down a little bit with our Dork Elf Shadow. So we're going to take Dork Elf Shadow, which is a very nice sort of grayed out, deeply purple here. Okay. She's blocked, Jim. Got to unclog it using the Reaper Pokey tool here. There we go. Thank you, Max. I appreciate you.
Is it possible to get a refund on free?
Refund on free?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely not friendly. Definitely not. All right, so we're going to add some of this Dark Elf Shadow in there. I'm going to say 3 drops, what I have mixed here, but enough to turn it into more of a dark, moody, almost brackish color. So let's see. Yep, that's exactly what I want. Just a little bit of black, a little bit of gray. Sort of has a purple hue to it. Maybe hard to tell on camera, so I'm going to go ahead and apply it here and do a little glove test so you can get a better idea of the color. There you go. You see what's going on. It's a nice, rich hue, but very dark. When this dries, it'll probably be very, very subtle. So,
Yeah, they're talking about your Pokey tool.
I don't know what you're talking about, guys. I don't have...
Completely normal, yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
mine's totally normal. All right, so I'm going to take this color, and I'm only going for the ankles and the feet. I lied. I'm going to go up a little bit more in between the legs.
Not advised.
If you only saw what that just did, spun like a top. All right, so anyway, we're going to go up underneath the knee there, on top of the foot. Cool beans. Same thing here. We're going to go in between the leg. Hard to see, I know. I'm trying to get the best angles there for you. There we go. Grab the little foot. The foot. Back of this leg here. We're going to get sort of up the thigh a little bit. Make sure you hit the crack. We're going to pretend to do some washing on the lower back. I'm going to make it really, really thin just to get some definition in there. There we go. We're almost ready, actually. I mean, it's kind of funny how little work it takes. Like you're waiting for stuff to dry for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's just painting up on top. So doing this fist here. Oh, I was bad. I forgot to share Miniature Monday info on my Facebook page today.
Uh-oh.
I just realized that all those people are just in the dark. No, they know what's going on. They know what's going on. If Sydney's in the chat, I should blame her. She's my manager now, so. Sorry, what should I say? Manager? Agent? Publicist?
D, all of the above.
Yep. All right. So we got that going down here. Okay. And then I am just going to paint over the face directly because we do a lot of highlighting on there, so we just want to make sure it's nice and dark. And then guess what? We're waiting for paint to dry. I know. It's crazy. Now, one slight difference here between the two. You can see these are getting close in color now. Like, it's really not at all as shiny as it was before. A lot of that gloss varnish is getting covered up, so that's why it disappears. But I did also apply a slight coat of matte varnish to this miniature, but I used the airbrush, and I sprayed right here, and I sprayed right there, but I tried to keep these two spots totally untouched. You could also go back and gloss the entire thing, but it'd be pretty cool.
I love the quality Twitch interaction we have here. The last two messages are, does she insist you keep your hands manicured, and chicken butt.
Yeah, I definitely don't keep my hands manicured, but
Signs of a good Twitch chat.
yeah, we're doing good. Doing well. All the things that are supposed to happen are happening. So, but there we are. There. We're almost ready. We're just waiting on it to dry a little bit. I may add a little bit of color here in between its little back region, just to break up that shine that's happening. Now the crystals themselves are going to still be translucent. I just want to sort of, there we go. It's very interesting too, sort of the way that the light plays through a miniature like this, depending on where you apply and how much you apply. I think it may have to do with like the actual sort of central mass of a miniature that's translucent and how the light reflects back out of it, but that definitely made that way darker, and all I did was put it inside the back. So we're just waiting. And then we're going to be drawing lots of straight lines, and it's going to get really intense and terrible. But I believe in everybody. We can do this.
So if you guys have questions now, feel free to ask. We are literally watching paint dry.
So exciting. Does this say Bones 2 Kickstarter Mini? I don't know. It's good.
You know what? I can tell you that in a second.
Yeah, how dangerous would it be to use a hairdryer to dry the Mini? I wouldn't use a hairdryer because I feel like it's too strong. So, I mean, you could use anything to dry a miniature, right? If you just have some airflow. If I'm being impatient, I typically use my airbrush, and I just... Would you say?
I think it is Bones 2, yes. Based on the SKU number.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think that was like the first time they did colored stuff, right?
Yeah.
Bones 1 didn't have it. Bones 2 had the...
No, they did. We had the Fireball.
See, I was going to say, was that Bones 1 or
Firewall.
2? Yeah, okay.
That was Bones 1.
Cool. Let's see.
Oh, thanks, AMP Services, for the raid. Just in time for us to watch paint dry.
Right. AMP, I saw him earlier today. I was checking out his channel. I'm trying to look at all the sponsored people, since I don't really hang out on Twitch that often. Whenever I'm taking a break or I'm drinking coffee or whatever, I hop in and just see who's live. And so I was checking him out earlier today. He had some very cool miniatures on his table that he could show us. So, but let me see. What criteria are you using to pick out future miniatures? Yeah, we'll go over that in a second since I know it's going off of my screen. How often do you change paper in your wet palette? When I run out of room. So, like, I don't know if you guys have been watching. So we've done I've been doing, sorry, on my page, box art for the game Moonstone over in the UK. And so that type of painting, like I did a secret stream last night, so I don't know if you caught that. But so I'm using, like, it's kind of funny, whenever I'm painting at that level, oh, you can't see, never mind. But I'm using like the tiniest amount of paint, right? But in order to get it at the consistency that I need, I pretty much fill my entire wet palette because I'm trying to get it so thin that I'm barely pulling any pigment every time I touch the brush, right? And that takes up like a full 5x7 sheet or whatever it is that I'm using. So I fill that up, I throw it away. So like when I'm doing that level of painting, I'll go through anywhere between 1 and 4 sheets maybe, right, of the parchment paper, and then I just toss it. But if I'm painting something like this will maybe just be 1 sheet, right? But I don't keep I don't keep it closed. I don't try and save my paint for later. I don't do anything like that. For me, it's nothing but a functional thing. Like I just use the wet palette to keep everything really, really, thin, essentially. But and then what would the glossing the entire thing look like? That is a good question. You should do it and show us what it looks like, because I definitely didn't do that with the finished mini. And it also makes it way harder to photograph. And if we're trying to do something to put on a box, right, or any type of advertising, gloss miniatures just do not photograph well, period. Like, it just doesn't really work that well. But somebody asked me too, for something like this with really thin wet paint, would a wet palette be better? Not necessarily. You could do just fine if you're someone that uses like a ceramic tile or a plastic plate or something like that. As long as you're keeping your stuff wet, it shouldn't be an issue. We're not going to do any thin work, so to speak, until the last second. And since you don't need the paint that we do need to glaze with wet the entire painting session, we do it at the very end, it's not going to matter. By the time we're done, you're done with that color, you can move away from it, right? So I mean, I always suggest a wet palette. I think it improves every single person's ability to paint, but it's not a requirement or anything like that. So the question on how we are figuring out which miniatures to actually select for these, well, one, it's how much is in stock, right? So for next month's kit, we already have the miniatures on hand at my house, ready to paint, but we had to make a switch at the last second because we realized the stock of one of the miniatures was so low that based on how this February kit is selling, we'd already be sold out at this point. And it was a Bones Black miniature, which the restock on that is not as simple as like a metal miniature, right, that we can just make. So the trade-off there is trying to conceptualize whatever the theme is for the month, right? So I conceptualize the theme, and then sort of like, whenever I look at a miniature and I think about the paint job that I'm going to do, this is always kind of a cool conversation. So you guys can tell me in the chat what you do after I describe this. So I see a perfectly blank miniature that I have no paint job inspiration for, right? Like let's say it's just a blank miniature. In the back of my head, I see it's kind of like if you're remembering a dream. So it's very fuzzy and foggy, but I actually see like a sort of faint image of something as if I'd already painted it in terms of like very loose color blocking. It'll be like maybe magenta and green, right? And then something in between. And then I start figuring it out that way. So the same way that I do that whenever I look at miniatures is how I've been thinking about these palettes, being like, okay, so if we're having a snow theme, that's pretty easy. We know we're going to have whites and blues. If we are having a snow theme that's transitioning into a cave or an Underdark setting, I still need colors that will tie into sort of that snow, cold area, whatever. So not a lot of saturation, anything like that. But now we're moving into an earthier area, so it's like an earthy tone. So whenever I think of a theme, like my brain sort of comes up with maybe 2 or 3 colors that allows me to go with that. And they're usually complementary colors, right, with color theory. But that's sort of how we base it. So, what would be very difficult would be a theme like a town, right, or like a city, just a whatever, because then it's like, how do you, gray, like for the streets, and then some wood for the buildings or whatever. That doesn't really make as much sense when you're building a palette. So we think of the theme, we think of the colors, then we think of the actual miniatures, then we think of the stock of the miniatures, and that way we're not building kits that they just are going to have to stop building. If people are trying to buy the January set in July, then we need to make sure that those miniatures are available. And then too, coming soon, there will be more miniatures, right, coming in from the last Bones Kickstarter that'll be fresh and added to the store. And so if we can kind of adjust and include those in the kits when we know when they're coming in, we can include new miniatures for you guys as well. So, you know, ideally, I'm trying to pick something that's new, something that is weird that people necessarily wouldn't want to paint. So that's why we're doing a translucent crystal golem this time around, because a lot of people are uncomfortable trying to figure out how to paint see-through miniatures, right? And it's also an older miniature. And then we also try and pull something in metal. So that could be something brand new, or it could be something very obscure. I like to pull from, you know, the depths of the Reaper catalog and pull out some gems that are usually metal miniatures. So, but yeah, that's the sort of long explanation of how all of that works. But man, these people literally are not letting me live my life here in peace. So sorry. FedEx made an oopsie earlier today and they keep trying to fix it. But let me see. I think that's pretty much it. The Bones Black that were always to be in stock, well, yeah, they have to actually make the miniatures and ship them here. So yeah, they're always available and always in production. They're just not always in stock. Same way as if I went and bought all of the metal miniatures of a certain SKU that they had, John would have to make them before they are added back to the store. So that's kind of how that works no matter what. So I think we are pretty much ready to start moving. So if you want to go back to our close cam here. So you can see now he has drastically changed his look. He is no longer the bright, clear Aquaman. Actually, can you pull up that photo? Do you still have that loaded in?
Yes.
So he's going to show you this photo real quick. So on the left there is where we started a few minutes ago. And then now, after barely washing it down, you can see how drastically it changes the miniature. So that's kind of what I was saying too. Whenever you start playing around with trying to include the translucent plastic color, it's very intriguing how it shifts so quickly. So definitely keep that in mind if you're applying your paint and you're like, I don't know if I'm ruining this. It seems so dark compared to the way it looked, yada, yada, yada. It's okay. It's supposed to look like that. So, all right, let's hop back away from that photo. And we are going to get our color here. Let's see. Ghost white, of course.
Oh, the G is silent. It's just host white.
That was a really rate joke.
Yeah, thanks.
So
I really do need a cricket soundbite.
you need a cricket or a punch.
Oh, I definitely need the what do they call that again? Oh, they don't call it the
The rim shot.
the rim shot.
There
That's
you
what it
go.
is. Yeah.
So now what I'm doing here, we're going to take a pretty much 1-to-1 ratio of water to paint. So as usual, I am just applying water to my palette here first, like this. And then the paint. See how it's spread around like that? That's how you can really control how much you're adding at a time. And then I'm looking for that property, which it has right now, where if I spread it around, it still tries to pull back into itself like it has flubber consistency. So, of course, I'm using a size 1 brush. So the concept here is that if my paint is nice and thin and my brush is nice and wet, I'll be able to draw really thin straight lines, just like that, right? This is what we're going to be doing on all of the edges of this miniature. So if you are someone that struggles with brush control, I highly suggest you take your time here and you get used to using a very wet brush and slowly using the tip on a sheet of paper, there you go, and literally try and write words, and that will get you much better at using your brush. So we're going to go ahead and clean this brush out. Who makes the beveled base? This is a Reaper base, as you can tell. RMP, baby.
74003, actually, I think is what that is.
74003.
Or 033, sorry.
033, there you go.
That's actually the SKU.
All right, so now then this is going to look crazy as we start to apply these edges, but don't worry about it too much. we will go ahead and probably not start on the face. I feel like that's just trouble trying to start there, 'cause if you're going to have a shaky hand, it may be a bad idea. So we'll go ahead and get the party started. What do we want to do here? Do we want to do a foot first, a hand first? Let's start on the back. We're going to start on the back. If we're going to make a mistake, it may as well be on his butt, where that's probably not the first place someone admiring your awesome paint job, will look. So, unless you're musty justy and that's just, what you're into. But
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Okay, so here we go. Going on the edges of this bad boy right here, we're literally outlining all of the shapes. Crazy, I know, but it works. So I already know the consistency of my paint here is not thick enough. It is too thin, so I'm going to add a little bit more pigment as we go back around the world. There we go. All right, so I'm going to try this again.
Could you dry brush these if you wanted to? Would you get the same effect?
No, you would not.
Ah.
Only because you would not get a sharp, drastic definition in the same way that we're getting here. I mean, you could, and I'm sure it would still look impressive, but it just definitely would not give you the same finished look that we're going to hopefully get today. So with this, your light source is definitely going to be your best friend. What I'm doing is I'm literally positioning this miniature to the lights in the room, so that way I can see these edges that I'm outlining.
I'm curious, Josh, is your palette and like all of your tools and stuff, is all of that on your website or on your Facebook or on your Patreon?
So all of my tools are on the Amazon page. So other than like two things, you can go to amazon.com/shop/minipaintingstudio, or you can just go to minipainting.studio. There's a button that says Amazon. You click that, and it literally is a compiled list of every single thing that I use.
All the things you use, okay.
Yep. And yeah, my wet palette is one that you build yourself, and it's super cheap. And it's just as good as any pre-made one you can buy. If you have one that's pre-made, no shade to whoever made it, but you can do it at home by yourself for a lot less. So this is what we're doing. We're just slowly building this through. After we do this as well, we're going to glaze on top of the middle points. So wherever you have these different lines converging, right, that we're going to leave alone. It's the parts in between that we glaze over to help create that crystallized effect. But sadly, until then, you know what's going on here. We're drawing lines. So that's what we're doing. For this miniature, it's best to think in your head that at this stage, your paintbrush is a pencil. You want to be able to just draw straight lines with it without applying any pressure. So again, this is the part that I know a lot of you will struggle with. I know I did the first time around, because in my head I'm like, where do I want to place this? Where do I want to do X, Y, Z? But now that I've painted this once before, I know it's really not too bad. You can really feel comfortable outlining all of the edges and the parts that we're trying to paint, mostly because, like I said, we're going to glaze over it at the end, and that's when it all comes together. So. And then, yeah, I do obviously have to say, if you buy anything from the Amazon store itself, and there's a problem, one, don't tell me about it, because that's not my deal. But I do get a small percentage of those sales, so that does help me out. And even if, like I said at the beginning of the stream, if you just need to buy something on Amazon, like you need your kitty litter, a strange, obscure battery, whatever it is that you need to buy off of there, you can always just click that link on my store and then go buy whatever it is you normally want, and Amazon will still say, hey Josh, thanks for sending people to Amazon. And I still get a little bit of kickback too. So any shopping you do, if you want to just, give me some free pennies, you can do that. And it really helps me out. I'll be able to buy my cat Arthur all kinds of treats. So we're just working our way down the legs. Revolutionary, I know. So there was a question, if you keep turning the model like that, do you lose your theoretical lighting source? Well, there is no light source on this guy. We're not doing any kind of highlighting right now, so we're not really worried about it at all. What we're doing right now allows us to sort of work backwards later to then fill in those light sources, if that makes sense. Right now, we're just sort of giving ourselves the best roadmap to a finished product, and then we'll go in and shape sort of our highlights as we need to. Cyberstorm. So, thank you very much. So, Cyberstorm says, would it be faster to side the brush? Absolutely not, because how will you be able to do the inside of a divot like that with the side of your brush? You can't. Now, your logic is sound. Don't get me wrong, right? You are thinking like a painter right now, right? So your head's in the right spot. So the issue with this is that these edges on this specific miniature, on all of the different parts, some of them are very sharp. Yay, right? That's what we want as miniature painters. We want nice, clear, defined edges, so that's cool. But some of them aren't that sharp. So you will need to be using, to have consistent thickness of the lines, you do need to be using the actual tip of your brush. Otherwise, you will just run into some problems. So. What's that breaking news?
Yeah, apparently the ReaperCon admission tickets are going on sale February 14th.
Is that normal or is that super early now? I think it's super early now.
I think it's probably a little early.
But then again, the hotel sold out way early. So
yeah.
It all makes sense. So the nice thing about this technique too, which is funny, like I would actually use this as a Patreon class just because of how technically annoying it is. But what's nice about this is that by the time you're done, you'll be able to do small gem accents on your other paint jobs and not be afraid of it at all. So it really is just a matter of going through and painting all these different angles over and over. Make these a little bit brighter. My paint was too thin when we started that leg. Okay, now we're going to move on.
Someone want to know what brush you're using.
So I use DaVinci Maestro Series 10. Why did I say Siri? Jeez. But yeah, so I use a size 1 for pretty much all of my painting. I do own size 2 and a size 0. But size 1 is pretty much all the fun. So.
And that brush is also on that Amazon link, correct?
Yes, it is. And it's specifically the one with the tube. Now, you do have to pay a little bit more to get them to ship you one in a tube. But take my very painfully learned advice here. Pay the extra $1.50 or whatever. Otherwise, here's what they do. So you buy your nice $18 brush off Amazon, right? And they go, hey, do you like this brand new brush? Cool. And then they put it in a box, and then it goes, and then you get it home, and the tip looks like this, and it's totally ruined. And that is why you pay the money
Holy crap.
to get it sent in with the actual tube. And also remember, if you do keep the tube, put the little tip protector back in the tube, and then just close it and keep it. And that way, if you ever need to travel anywhere, you have it saved for later. But yeah, so for a while, Amazon was shipping them with the tube for free, and then I think I don't know if it was probably a space-saving deal, but they have no idea, like, they're not sitting there going, oh, should you keep a fine art watercolor brush, like, protected? They don't care. So for them, it's like, well, if you want to take up more room, you know, we're going to charge you more money for this product, and that's exactly what they're doing. So, but it is worth it. You know, I would say they're the best watercolor brushes on the market, and that makes them pretty much the best, in my opinion, at least, for what we do, because I use super thin, watery paint. So, but as always, you know, you don't have to do anything to help me that you don't want to, of course. So don't feel like a bad guy if you're like, oh, I don't want to do that to help. That's totally cool. But it is always available. All that info is there. And some other stuff too, right? There's some airbrush tools and the wet palette stuff and the lights that I use and the gloves that I use. If you buy the gloves, make sure you buy the right size. All those good details are available in that little Amazon shop. And then again, too, if you just want to buy something else, I still get credit. So thank you so much for being so kind.
Yeah, you should get a sponsorship from Dick Blick.
Dick Blick.
Yeah, that seems to be the premier website that I see a lot of hobbyist order paintbrushes and stuff through.
Oh, I would do it through, yeah, so like if you order it through them, you end up, so here's the trade-off with Amazon. So like you can buy a DaVinci Maestro Series 10 for I think maybe $4 less, but then you pay for shipping. Amazon, if you got Prime.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's literally the only trade-off. Because I did place a large order through them as well. And I did it when I bought like 15 brushes. So it was like a $400 order.
Okay.
And it was much better because I got like their bulk discount and free shipping, right? So at that point, I didn't really care. But if I'm just doing an emergency replacement, or if I just kind of know like, I think I burned through, you know, one brush over the holidays, so I'm just going to replace it, then I just buy it from Amazon. I don't really care about it all too much. So, but yeah, I mean, that's a good company in general if you're going to be buying or experimenting and purchasing different brands of brushes. Definitely give that a look, just because you'll be able to save a little bit of cash. So, and they have a pretty good selection. They got I think they have Rosemary's on there. They have Escada's on there, depending on your brand. I mean, I spent so much money last year trying every single brush that I could with every penny that I thought was disposable at the time. And yeah, I went through Escada's. I went through everything, all the obscure brands that people like, I ended up doing. I know a lot of people like Winsor & Newton. I don't like them because I don't think their English rounds are thick enough, which is the style that this brush is. So for those that are technical. Yeah, Dick Blick. If you live in a big city, so San Francisco, New York, Chicago, I think there's also a Blick store in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
I'm not sure though on that. It may be Austin, and I know they had one at one point, but I've been to one in San Francisco. I've been to one in New York, and somewhere else, but I know it's not Chicago. But yeah, if you can ever go in person, the prices aren't like crazy good in the stores, but the selection is always good, and so you'll be able to see in your hand, is this the size I'm looking for? So. So you can see I'm just still going through, doing all these lines, and I'm going pretty quick. So, you know, you at home, I wouldn't imagine would be slamming through them like I am right now. If you are, you know, maybe you should hit up my page and I might be able to send some painting work your way. But definitely take your time. I'm going a little bit quick and omitting some edges just because I know that we're trying to get this done in time just for the show in general. But as long as you're keeping in mind why you're doing it and it's to glaze it down later, you're good to go. If you see an edge that you don't really think would show up because it's underneath a lip or underneath a knee or something like that, you don't have to do it. But I know I am here. We're going to move our way through.
Looks pretty good.
Thank you, thank you.
I know that's high praise coming from someone who just doesn't paint at all.
Hey, That's the best. That means you don't have some kind of weird complex in your head about painting.
Yeah, not even a little bit.
So that's that's what's funny is like, eventually you'll get to a point in your miniature painting hobby, where you'll look at something and you'll go, I think I could do that, right? Which is always comparing yourself to somebody else, which isn't always the best thing for you. But if you don't know anything, you don't really care, and you're just like, I like that, I think it looks good, then
I did try that with the default like color schemes for my 40K models.
oh yeah.
I did not make them look that way. Just
What
so we're on the same page.
what army do you play?
Well, I did. I haven't played in a long time, but Tau. Well, I played a lot of them. I'm not gonna lie to you. I played a lot. We played Kill Team primarily.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I tried basically all of them. I mean, Tyranids are a lot of fun, and I feel like they were the easiest to paint.
Necrons are the easiest to paint.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
okay.
I did color shift paint with an airbrush.
Oh.
I painted
because they're metal.
I did 3,000 points in 3 days.
That's really cool.
So, assembly took 2 days.
I might actually start painting once I get this Reaper airbrush.
Oh yeah, the Vex.
I don't honestly know
If that's the actual name, but
if I'll do it any justice, but
right. I know I have Collins's Dark Elves Drukhari at my house right now, and then I also have a Baneblade for him. And then
Beyblade?
Beyblade, let it rip.
Yeah, let it
rip. But no, I have a Baneblade, and then I have a Chaos Fiend as well that I'm zinchifying to work with his 1,000 Suns. Of course, all of that he gets the famous Reaper trademark soon.tm with, but
I had to do that too. Amazing Grotto. Amazing Auto. Sorry, not Grotto.
Amazing Grotto. How inviting.
Yeah, it's fine. Amazing Auto 123. When we first got into it, I was actually at the Tyranid stuff. Like it was hard to get a hold of a lictor, so I had to repurpose and kind of actually cut off and trim a couple of Bones models to make a lictor. But I mean, it looked pretty good.
I remember back when Hive Tyrants were metal, and my buddy, we were at his parents' place, and we're in, like, his dad converted their garage to, like, have carpet and stuff, so it was a room type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the garage, we're having fun putting stuff together, painting, and so he used JB Weld to put together his metal minis. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it literally pretty much chemically melts metal to connect it or whatever. And so he puts it together, and he's like, oh, well, I used JB Weld, so this Hive Tyrant's actually indestructible. And he throws it across the room as the entire model breaks and pieces snap in half, just not the parts he JB Welded. So, like, the wings snapped in half. I mean, it was...
Who does that?
This is the same kind of guy that... he got his Land Raider, and I'm playing Space Orcs at the time, and one rocket blew up his Land Raider the first turn. And he was so mad that I had destroyed his brand new toy that he said, you need to get a ride home. I'm no longer taking you home. So,
oh wow.
So that is my impression of 40K players from ages like 13 to 20, pretty much.
That is hilarious. I mean, it's not because you're, issue with driving home, but that is really funny.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Collins is kind of like that. Because he gets really lucky with dice. I don't know if you've ever played Kill Team, but he plays Grey Knights, or did play Grey Knights a lot of the times, which, for those of you who have played Kill Team and played Grey Knights, their psychic phase is absolutely broken unfair. Really, psychic powers in Kill Team alone are just broken and unfair. But anyway, he just only rolls 5s and 6s, and it's pretty disheartening.
You can buy loaded dice on AliExpress, so I think you may need to check his dice.
Yeah. No, I agree. I did because I historically roll low.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even a law of averages thing here. Like we sat down and we did a big sample thing, right? And I on average roll really low for some reason. And I tried his dice, and it seems that I cursed them, so he has to keep switching dice whenever we play. Because I'll touch his dice.
Nice.
Just to, try to get an edge.
Well, having gone to his board game nights many a time, I am now very familiar with the competitive nature of good old Reaper Collins.
Now, I will specify that most of those games, he did lose. Now, I say that because he plays Kill Team like it's Team Deathmatch and does not pay attention to objectives. So every victory
yeah.
for me was basically empirical, but I got it. So even if I had nothing left. He's pretty trolly.
Pretty trolly-oly.
He is. He is.
He wouldn't like my Necron list because it's pretty awful in terms of the troll.
He's the kind of troll where like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a max range shot at you from across the board. I'm gonna roll these 3 dice. I need 3 consecutive 6s to do anything at all. Oh, look at that, 3 6s. Thanks, Collins.
Don't ever start playing Infinity with him because then he will be able to just take lists that shoot you from across the table. So when guns have 98-inch range, it's kind of hard to do much.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing with the Tau because he plays Tau, of course. They have like 36-inch guns, and that's basically the entire Kill Team board, really.
Oh yeah, is it on a 4x4 or 3x3 surface?
I think it's 3x3. Actually, I think it's 3x3. Yeah, I think it's 3x3, and it's he also likes to. I joked that he liked to cheat too by saying like, we're gonna do this game type, and I'm gonna conveniently set up no cover on your side of the board, and have also you get to be the attacker, so you have to charge into the Tau. Sorry about you, man. It's like, okay.
I think he's just sitting there. He goes, "What would be fun to try and win?" And he's like, "Oh, this scenario would be good."
Yeah, let's do this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Lava Being wants to know what the next step to painting this mini is after the current highlighting.
Glazing the highlights down. So instead of highlighting these, we're going to glaze not the edges, not the corners, but the broad edges get glazed down, and so then it looks like we did multiple layers to highlight it up. So by example, so do you see how some of these edges are brighter than the other at the points? So like wherever the edges meet in corners, they look much brighter, right? It's because we're going to take different colored blues and glaze over those broad edges to make them look darker. So that's why right now, all we're worried about is, all right, cool, whatever, and we're doing all of the edges because it's only going to save us time, pretty much. Yeah, the same concept is sound for anything that's made out of rocks, glass, crystal, you name it. This is an easy way to do that. Even in non-metallic metal, it's the same like you could use this same idea for non-metallic metal and just go down and then adjust any highlight contrast accordingly. But because I'm wondering if I don't really have an example here. Not so much. Or I guess same idea, right, that we had on this guy, the rock up top, right? So
Same concept.
Mm-hmm.
I really like those sharp edges, I'm not gonna lie. It's making me want to paint my my Tav again because they have a lot of like armor bits.
Oof.
I feel like I could do that.
That's the one thing, the Games Workshop paint style that always killed me when I was learning how to paint growing up, is that it's all of the edge highlights that they do. Makes it very difficult unless you get good at brush control. So
Yeah, I noticed Acid Burn. There's actually a lot of kill team scenarios that work like that. They're based on like units brought down and then how many like points those are worth as a result. So if you run a 200-point like little team, but it has 5 models because you're playing the big tanky knight dude, so I can't remember the whatever they are. Anyway, and you're playing against Tau, or that you have like 18 models on the field, or Tyranids, you can't win. Like even if you wiped out their whole team, you still don't get that many points, right? You take out 6 of the Hormigans and you just auto win, whether you want to or not.
sounds like classic Games Workshop scenario building. They're like, oh, you guys want to win games?
It's like, nah.
Do you want to buy this new book, though?
Hey, yeah, really. Also, this new model set. Oh, cool. How much? That'll be $39.99.99.
But don't buy it online for 30% cheaper.
Oh, but you'll need 3 of these because there's 3 different configurations for the same model.
We've made a mistake. we have made a mistake. Do you see that blotch of paint right there?
No, it looks good.
Okay. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and pretend that never happened. Cover it up there. There we go. All right.
Oh God. You know what? That's perfect. Thank you, Elvis. They suggested that you chose to paint this mini because it's doing the Running Man.
If I had the ability to be Miss Cleo, predicting the Running Man, definitely not what I'm using my powers for.
Like Josh is really underutilizing his ability.
Right? It's like if Superman only ever used his powers to carry in one extra bag from his car.
Yeah, bingo.
And you're like, you could do so, and he's like, why?
And why would I do that?
Why would I do that? It's just me going to the car. Yep. See, what I find interesting, because I'm checking out all these sort of just newer games that do interesting, weird mechanics, right? So, Moonstone, that game that I'm doing box art for, they all combat and any magic, anything like that, is done from a deck of cards, and it's not your standard playing cards. It's
Yeah.
like cards they specifically have invented.
Proprietary cards.
Yes. And what's interesting is that both players draw from that deck.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of not Gwent, but that one video game card. Oh, that's awkward. No,
I got it.
It's fine.
I got it.
Do you help?
I got it. I'm just trying not to destroy the tip while I do that. We'll drop the brush on the ground into carpet. It's no big deal. All right, we got it. Does it look fine? Looks fine to me. All right.
Camera might be a little off there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Also, thank you for the Twitch Prime, Josh. Josh and Josh.
Yeah, remember, you can always sub for free using your Amazon Prime subscription. Just hit that subscribe button and check out Twitch Prime. Otherwise, you can just sign up in general and support all of the different shows. So I know I've definitely been telling everybody and their mom every way they can support me this stream for whatever reason. But you can support everything that happens on the Reaper channel in general by subscribing to it as well. So definitely give that a thought if you can. It's only $5 for a tier 1, right?
Correct.
So I like how the how would we describe it? The creator support economy has sort of designated $5 as the acceptable level that pretty much anyone can do, but also multiples,
Yes.
right? So it's like, yeah, $5 because you can probably do that, but if you can also maybe do 10, so you can also give 5 to somebody. It's very funny that sort of became the industry standard of that's what we're looking for intro level support. So
Right.
which is cool. $5 doesn't seem like much until you've got, 50 people. And you go, wow, that's quite a bit. Of $5. That's a lot of $5 right there.
That's a lot of $5.
That's a lot of $5. Okay, so legs are good there. And then we're going to do little toes and all that good stuff. I think somebody asked a question about a light. What'd they ask?
Oh, yes. J1121 said, does the super wide light on your Amazon list put out enough light to be the only light source, or would you need others?
It's the only one that I use now. So there's your answer. I used to use 3 lights. Now I would just use that one. So now, full disclosure, I literally have another one being delivered to my house today. But it's only because the space that I'm moving into, I think I may need 2 of them. So, but yeah, it is an amazing light. If anybody was at ReaperCon last year, you saw me with it. And it was, people would walk by and be like, that light is amazing, where'd you get it? And I kept telling people where to find it, so. I should have had a business card made, explicitly with my Amazon URL. Buy it here.
Here.
But, yeah, it's a phenomenal light. Lights, a chair, and making sure that if you don't need anything to brace your feet, those 3 things will really help improve painting. And painting time and stamina. That's the other thing too, right?
I could really use one of those at home, by the way.
What?
Like one of those things that go under your desk to prop your feet up.
Oh,
on.
the adjustable footrest?
Yeah.
I can send you a link to one that I have.
Is it through your affiliate link?
Oh, no, actually.
You can go ahead and affiliate it. So when,
No,
so
it's
when I
not.
get it, I might as well. Yeah, I mean,
But-
there's no reason not to.
But yeah, because I like what I have. I prop them forward, like I'm
Yeah,
pushing my body
exactly.
forward when I
Yes,
paint,
Yes.
and it really, really helps. It feels like my whole body has leverage whenever I'm working. So, but yeah, pretty much, if you do miniature painting for 20 years, like I have, or over 20 years, like I have, your posture is probably in the most danger you could put it in. So making sure you've got a good chair and support and all that stuff is definitely important if you're not trying to look like the creatures you're painting. So, can you use it in a dark room? Well, it's definitely not going to be a dark room when you use that light. So the light that we're talking about is 30. I think it's 31, but it's essentially like 32 or 31 inches plus change wide. So it's almost a 3 foot, right, or close, wide LED bank. And
Wow.
it's super, super awesome, really, really bright. I wish it was a little bit taller, interestingly enough, but it's adjustable. You can move it forward, back, whatever you need. Of course, when I'm using it on stream, I have to fight with it just because I have a gigantic DSLR camera in front of it. But when I'm not on stream, it's great because I just knock it back and use it wherever I need it. So. Yeah, it's
Oh
really
man,
good.
Brad and Lava beat me to it. I was gonna do it, and I was like, maybe it's not the crowd. But you talked about being taller. You know,
I don't know what that means.
you've heard the song. Don't act like you
What?
haven't, Josh.
What song?
I'll play it on stream. Dare
Okay.
me to play it on. I'll do it.
Go for it. I don't know music.
That's also not true.
I don't listen to music.
There it is. There's Gronik. Look at that. Thank you. Thank M. Gronik. Appreciate that.
Why do you wish you were a baller? I'm so confused. What have I missed in the chat?
Skilo.
What is this? Look, first of all, I don't go to the fair, so I don't play skee ball. So I don't know what skee-lo is.
Last time I played skee ball, actually, I think was at Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese or a putt-putt? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel you. There was one. What? Do you remember the place that was like putt-putt, but it was in Plano?
No.
Okay.
My knowledge of Plano is very limited.
Okay, I grew up in Allen, and there was one in Plano.
Ah.
And then, of course, after that was when like Main Event and everything started showing up. So.
Now, most of my experience with Plano has been really more Little Elm than anything else.
Uh-huh.
And then Frisco to a degree.
Frisco.
Oh, Gronik, he knows it's the song. He's trolling.
What song, guys? I don't listen to music, so I don't know.
On another note, Bishop wants to know how tall your desk is.
I don't know. Probably as tall as this one.
Oh, so...
However tall this is, so maybe like 3 feet tall, around
that's
that.
3.5 feet, I think, is what it is.
The light itself extends up probably around 2.5 to 3 feet, but I just wish it was a little bit taller because you have to bend it forward. It's like an adjustable neck. So, but that's only because, like I'm saying, I wished it was bigger for when I'm, using the camera. All right, so we knocked out the legs. The legs, honestly, are the worst part of this entire adventure, which, cool. We'll be able to wrap this up then on the face and everything else. Now then, on the face, we're really only focusing on this front part of the face and then the interior portions of the shoulders. So we're going to knock this back real quick.
Gonna have to have Sydney culture you a little bit with good music and...
First of all, if you think a backwoods, beach-dwelling Sasquatch like Sydney is going to give me any culture, all right?
Clipped. Zero context.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, no, she can culture me on the ways of, like, looking for cans on a beach or, like, who knows?
I hope she's still in here. Otherwise, this is kind of...
No, we're going to...
She's still here. It's perfect.
Oh, no. Let's see, it depends on if she's actually listening or if it's just on in the back, or if she's busy. She told me this week she has, like, very minimal amounts of work to do currently at work, so...
Ah.
I'm sure she's about to slam the meanest thing she can possibly say.
Oh, she is. She's winding up right now.
Okay.
The lack of immediate
I told her
response.
not to get our, I was like, hey, can you not, like, get strikes on our channel if you're trying to be mean to me? Watch what you say. We'll get you banned.
I'll ban you. I'll do it.
Oh, yeah, I'll get you...
Also, JS Twitch wants you to mumble rap while you do this. Luckily, you don't actually have to say anything of note. It doesn't even have to be coherent. Just be like any other mumble rapper you've ever heard. Just kind of run some stuff together. You don't even need to punctuate. You don't even need to like space your words. It can actually just sound like gibberish. It's perfect, actually. I feel like the less you understand, the better it is. As long as your cadence is there. Cadence. That's all that matters.
What's rap?
Oh man, this again. Did I hear that right? You called your significant other a Sasquatch?
No.
I'm not even that brave.
I didn't say that.
Says Cyberstorm or
I
Sibstorm.
didn't say that.
Oh, she hasn't said anything in a while. She may not actually have heard that. That's fine. We'll clip it. We'll play it back for her.
No.
I'm sure she will absolutely appreciate that.
I'll say, hey, I was thinking of you today.
Perfect.
Thinking of you. So what I'm doing is I'm just painstakingly outlining all the parts of the facial features here. Trying to go as fast as I can, but it takes time. This month, this is the challenge of the month. I'll put it that way. This guy is definitely not the easiest one to paint, and it's only because we're doing these edges. Now, when we actually get to the little tinting portion, it's crazy easy, but it's just having faith that you can do this.
Thank you, Dabber Raccoon. That's perfect.
Oh, thank you, Dabber. See, I was wondering what he was talking about. I don't know what music is. I don't know what a beat is. What's an instrument?
Yes.
The only music I recognize is MC Chris.
Why does that sound familiar?
He was the guy that did songs back in the day, like Fet's Vet, like. He did the songs on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Like, just before weird nerd internet rap was even a possibility, he was doing it.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember now. I liked Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh my gosh. Arise, chicken. Arise. I may be dumb, but I ain't that dumb.
Meatwad, everyone. Meatwad paints minis for you.
I remember when that movie came out in the theaters, I made my dad take me.
Oh, wow.
That was he was like, literally, what has happened?
It's like C-Lab 2020.
See, I feel like my dad would for sure get down with C-Lab. Yeah, Aqua Teen was a little bit much. A little bit much for his cowboy palette. I mean, my dad cosplays as a cowboy, though, so I mean, I feel like he could handle it a little bit more, but he does like Wild West competitive shooting, but you have to like dress up like a cowboy when you do it.
Really?
Yep, that's how they do it. And you have to come up with a name, and then where they do the actual competitions, they set up like little Wild West shooting range things, and you like fire out of a saloon, and they have like a whole point system, and it's pretty crazy.
What's his
handle? What's my handle? I actually don't know. I don't think he wants to tell us. It's probably something
Oh.
like Sweet Lou 6-shooter, or like I don't even know, something like that. But yeah, it was funny because I remember one time he was commenting on like, I don't understand these people that dress up for these superhero movies. I'm like, dog, you literally dress up to go shoot guns. Like you cosplay as a cowboy. You're just calling it something else. Yeah, cowboy shooting, single action revolver only, and Gronig, some kind of shotgun, like the Coach guns.
Oh, like
the ones that go
the Henry lever actions?
Yeah, because I've seen him, so he can fire it, do that, catch the shell out of the air, and reload it before he like cocks it back. Like he does a whole trick with it.
Oh. The real question is, what he shot at? Did he hit it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's good. Which is funny because, like, growing up, that was never really anything we did, but now suddenly he's Mr. Cowboy.
Well, when your kids grow up and move out of the house, you start to just, all this free time, you don't know what to do with yourself.
He's like, quit playing with toys, Josh. I'm going to go dress up like a cowboy.
It addles the brain a little. Like my parents, they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. Although my brother still lives with them, so.
There you go. Before I moved down here, I was considering moving back in with them for a little while, like 6 months or so. And it was hilarious how, like, if you had told me that when I was maybe 4 years ago, I'd be like, there's no way, that's the worst idea on the entire planet. Like, how could I? That'd be so dumb. And then I was thinking about it before I moved down here, and I was like, dude, it'd be so nice there'd be food.
Yeah.
I could, like, just save money for a little. Like, that's a crazy awesome idea.
Yeah, my parents live out in the middle of nowhere where there's basically no internet, so
Oof.
I couldn't do it.
Oof. Yeah, that's the newest threat to my existence down here is wherever I move, making sure I can get good connection. But Texas internet, way better than Joklahoma internet, so.
Joklahoma, I like that.
Yeah. Or Broklahoma. I mean, there's all kinds of, trust me, I lived there long enough to know all the jokes that could be possibly made, but. All right, so we're finishing up the face, and then I said we're going to do just the interior portions of these arms, so you're going to see me do that right here. Because remember, we want this to be partially translucent, so that's what we're focusing on. We're just setting the stage for some of these highlights. Walter, you missed a lot. Hopefully the doctor's appointment was all right, though.
Luckily, it will be in the VOD, so you can watch there, or you can watch it on YouTube. What you did miss was Josh's fantastic comment towards his significant other.
I'm not going to play video games with you if you keep bringing that up.
It's going to be great.
Okay.
Can't wait to stream it. In fact, speaking of which reminds me, do you have Age of Empires 2, the Definitive Edition?
Yeah.
Oh, good, because I played my first actual game of that this Saturday, I think it was.
My roommate and I, we play that frequently.
It is, honestly.
It's hard.
It's hard,
Yeah.
but, like, I love every change they've made. It's really smooth now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the buildings collapse right. The water actually looks like water.
The water looks like water.
I got to get Max Powers in there because he actually plays the game too.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, I think Ed, Dave, and Vicky play it pretty regularly now too. They, I told them about it because they were playing just the HD edition.
Oh.
On Steam.
I don't know what the difference is then. What's the difference?
The definitive they just released. I think it was like a month ago.
Oh, okay. No, I don't have that. I have the HD.
Yeah, and that's most people have the HD.
I'll have to look into that then.
You should because they significantly. You can also zoom out further.
Oh, that is literally my biggest pet peeve is that I wish I could just zoom way out.
Oh, man, units actually collide with stuff better. They don't do crazy stuff. Your units don't seem to get trapped behind buildings and behind weird stuff anymore as well. Like they use their brains and they path along the side of stuff.
Gosh, that was the worst part about that game actually was fighting with your stuff.
So, yeah, it was.
Or being like, how are they getting into my base? And you see them like pathfinding into water. And you're like, what?
I can't even build a wall there.
Oh, don't get me started. The last game I played, the AI literally made it to where I couldn't build because the game placed the AI right next to me. I'm like, everyone's like, yeah, hey, why aren't you building walls? I'm like, the game's not letting me because of the truce. And they're like, wait a minute. And then they're like, go over here. And so I went to go look, and yeah, the AI is literally right at my front door. They're like, oh, well, we can restart the game, or I'll just send you reinforcements. Yeah, that worked about as well as you can imagine.
Jono, this is Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Or HD Edition, whichever. I will say at this point, I strongly recommend the Definitive Edition because it's the same. It's like $20. It's not.
Yeah.
But it works a lot better on modern PCs.
Paint me like one of your definitive editions.
It definitely does. It's very smooth. It's nice.
All right, so we're knocking out this arm, and then we have one arm left.
perfect.
I know this is painful, guys, but it's what you gotta do. It's what you gotta do.
So, Max Powers, did you say you have it through Xbox Ultimate? What is that? Is that the subscription service through Microsoft? Is that what that is? Because I don't actually know. Better than Warcraft 3 Remastered.
I did see that came out.
That
but
just came out, didn't it?
yeah, I'm just not interested.
I'm not either.
I sunk way. I mean, that's a game that's like burnt. Like, what's funny is I wanted Vanilla WoW to come out forever. Legacy
Yeah.
server, let's do it. And then when Blizzard said we're never gonna do it, I was like, then I don't want it. So then when they announced it, I'm like, I can't. No, there's no way. And I feel like that's a lot with those Warcraft games. Is that it's like, I played them so much, and then wished like they would remaster them faster than they did.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like I don't care now. I've moved on. Like it never happens fast enough for me. So I just kind of give up.
Does that mean you didn't play Classic WoW then when it came out?
No,
Okay.
no.
It's been great.
The closest thing to an MMO that I've done recent. So like I spent the longest I've played pretty much everyone that's ever made a real retail release. But I've spent the most time playing EverQuest 2 and Final Fantasy 15 or 14.
Trash Rama plays EverQuest. Like I think he plays the Legacy servers.
Yeah.
We were talking about it in my stream on Saturday, I think it was.
I liked their Legacy server stuff until like 2 guilds took over the entire thing and controlled the votes. Because that's how they did it. They did community voting to release content, and 2 guilds were like, well, we're in charge now. So it's like, okay, cool.
Oh, great.
Yep. But yeah, my girlfriend, so Sydney, the illustrious hidden Sydney in the chat, we've been playing Outward, which has been...
Oh, how is that?
Man, we're having a blast because we're lost and it's terrifying. Just because everything's very, like, you just die. And, like, you have to be real smart, like...
It's very punishing, it seems.
So it's really fun. Doing it single player probably would be way insanely harder. So I don't know if I would be into it if it was single player, but you can play with one other person, and it is hilarious. So we've been playing that, and then we've been playing like the digital version of Carcassonne a lot. We've been playing Grim Dawn. We were playing some Path, but Path can just get so hard sometimes that it's like like you get mad at it.
It has a hell of a learning curve.
Yes, and so for us that was just a little bit too much. We tried playing Elder Scrolls Online. I used to play it a lot, and so I got it for Sydney, and that didn't go so well. Immediately.
I couldn't get into it. It's every time I played it, I was like, I just want to play Skyrim.
So my whole thing with it is that it feels gray. Like the actual textures of that game are not vibrant enough to pull me in to play.
Oh, that's fair.
So we've been playing that. We started playing Cross Maga as well, which is a weird mix of a card game / turn-based strategy game. But it's based on a French anime that's like dead. I don't know if that game's actually anything real anymore, but like they don't have much player base, but we're having a really fun time playing it against each other. Oh, Sydney arrived in chat. There you go. I'm trying to think what else we've been playing. That's pretty much it. Oh, Grim Dawn, like I said. We played a little bit of Hearthstone, just as we were sort of like trying out all the different flavors of card games and stuff. So, that's what we've been doing.
For me, it's been pretty much just my fiance only plays Counter-Strike almost exclusively, and I think she'll play survival games. So that's why, if you guys are really enjoying Outward, I looked at it. It looks kind of in the combat kind of Dark Souls-y. I know people are tired of hearing that.
I mean, it is in a sense that you just don't want to get hit, and the dodging and like power attacks take a little bit of time, if that makes sense. So you have to actually like sit and think about the combat. It's weird. So yeah, I guess it's just it doesn't feel like a Dark Souls game, but in terms of like how much you have to pay attention when you're playing, yeah. And teamwork's kind of hard to figure out too. There's no friendly fire or anything, thankfully, but yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah, I don't know if Sydney likes shooter games though. I don't think she does. I can't remember. I know she doesn't really like RTSs though.
Yeah. So she wouldn't play AoE 2?
I mean, maybe. She'll play whatever. It just depends.
I do if there's a story. Ooh, there's definitely no story for you. Because it's like real life cultures and groups and such. So it's more like, if you like the Byzantines, there you go. You can go read up on them, but the game isn't going to give you much. Well, I guess it would if you did the campaign.
Yeah, Age of Empires is you pick a civilization, you build it up throughout the ages, and you fight people. That's pretty,
It's pretty,
pretty self-explanatory.
it is pretty straightforward. What's up, TJ? We need to ask Josh about what?
Trying to get me in trouble.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to get me in trouble.
Oh, he's trying to get you in trouble.
They're trying to get me in trouble.
Oh, TJ.
All right. For all intents and purposes, we're done. So now we're going to do some tinting, and you can see how you can continually push this thing. So like you can make this guy look insanely good based on this technique. It really sort of with the other paint jobs as well. It's up to you with how much time you're investing. So
if you miss, I'm curious, if you miss a couple of lines,
You're fine.
And then you do the washing
You
thing,
can go back on top.
can you go back on top? Okay.
Yeah, this whole thing, so like a lot of people that watch my other videos that are on Patreon, whatever, what's funny about painting at a certain level, it's the same thing, just applied different ways, right?
Okay.
So it's always the same principle, it's just we're doing it this way this time, this way the other time. So, now then, what we're going to do, bada bing, bada boom, sorry, as I say it, bada bingus, bada bungus. Now we're going to grab our surfaqua. What was it? Surfaqua? There you go, surfaqua. So we're taking our 09078 surfaqua. We're going to make a little bit of a lazy glaze out of it. So I'm going to get some of that on the palette. Boom. Water on the palette. See? Water, water, water. A little bit of paint. Water, water, water. And we're almost there. A little bit more paint. There we go. My goal here is to be able to do this. See how much paint there is there? It's like nothing. I know if you guys have been watching Anne's Toolbox videos, I forget what I gave her a hard time about something when she was streaming earlier this week, or last week. But she was doing glazing on a big dragon wing. Same principles apply here. You're just going to do it in small coats, but let me find a long stretch of this to start with, so that way it's very obvious what we're doing. Okay, so taking this sort of aqua color, now this isn't really where I would apply it first, just based on the paint job, but this is easy to illustrate. I'm avoiding the corners, so I'm glazing in the connecting area in between, like this. Reason being, I want the corners to be the brightest part. Now then, that area is going to be in shadow, so we're not going to actually start there. I just wanted to show you a longer length of the actual miniature to get started on. So, these top parts here, I'm going in between where any of the corners are existing, and I'm starting to glaze it in. You can see really rapidly how this is going to dry. And what it's going to do is feather out and taper out the majority of these lines. The lines are still going to exist. They're just going to chill out, and they're going to look like they're more translucent. You're going to see this build down quite a bit.
Well, Bloodsaw wanted to know if you could use ink.
I wouldn't. I would use paint for this. I think the question there is what brand are you specifically mentioning, right? I'm assuming if you're using the word ink, you're talking about either like... So, if you're using a Reaper ink, it's going to be pigmented. If you're using a Vallejo ink, it's going to be super pigmented. If you're using a Games Workshop ink, then it's probably 20 years old, right? But if you're using like a Reichland Flesh Shade or something that's blue, like any of the GW washes, those might work because they're not super pigmented. Army Painter stuff, you wouldn't be able to. But the idea here is that we're using these colors to actually control the color of the reflection. And if you're using an ink, you wouldn't be able to build it down because you're just dealing with like one color of an ink. So I don't know if that really clarifies it for you all too much, But that at least is the concept in my head that I sort of think of when I'm like considering, can I do X, Y, or Z with it? So, but building our way through with these. Just like it took a long time for us to do all the edges, same idea here. Then I'm going to take Brion Blue, because I'm going to show you essentially quickly how to do each step just in one area, and then I'm going to go through and do it on all of the areas at a time. So what's cool about Brony Blue, as we so deemed it today, it actually matches the transparent color really well. So taking Brony Blue, keeping it away from those edges, you're going to see me now tinting it down. See that? You can actually see that a lot better on that surface. And this is where if you feel like you've messed up or if you haven't done enough work doing X, Y, Z, you can go back through and glaze on top again. For whichever section you may not be as pleased about. Which, in my case, could be the whole miniature at the very end. I always seemingly frequently don't like a paint job right as I almost finish it, but... all this does is help create the illusion of those highlights. It's nice too because it's faster than trying to layer up your individual edge highlights, because that gives you more room for error in terms of like slipping up and making a mistake. With this, you just have your white edges and you go, 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 go. And then when you're done, you just glaze, 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 glaze. Really quite simple. And I'm just making sure all those corners stay untouched, and it's going to look like we highlighted them up all along the way. You can see it drying right here as it tones itself down. Really easy.
Hey, Buttery Gamer, how you doing? Thanks for chatting with us, since you've been a lurker for a while. Yes, welcome to chat. Thank you, Max Powers. Good job. Lava being asked, do you ever choose a specific first color to put down on the transparent models because it can be seen through the transparent parts from the other side?
Yeah, so let's say this guy was a fire elemental. I would go with not red first. I would go with like a yellow or an orange, only because I wouldn't necessarily want it to tint down a whole bunch. So that's kind of the idea. Now with this guy, because it was blue, we just went with a blue. So not the biggest deal. But yeah, you're using your painter IQ there. Definitely a good thought. And it's accurate.
Speaking of MMOs, by the way, one thing I think we can all kind of agree on here is there haven't been any really good release of an MMO in quite a long time.
The problem is it's a genre, so it has to be the purchase to play genre, with additional benefit,
like BDO
or Elder Scrolls, right?
Or Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, and BDO's problem is that that's just not built for our market.
Right.
But because I mean that game looks really cool too, and I own it. But when I realized sort of what it was, I was like,
yeah, it's not quite your cup of tea.
Not really what I was looking for.
You're right. The pay per month model, the only exception
Final
that's
Fantasy.
really working, well, Final Fantasy and WoW. That's it. Those are basically the only two that work with that model.
Yep.
So,
and trust me, if one came out that was good, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Weirdly, have you seen Amazon's MMO?
Yes, actually, I'm going to play that. So if you guys plan on playing it, you should play with us.
I would like to.
Let's coordinate.
Yeah, because I think it seems like a cool concept. But that's the thing. It's like, I would love to, like, I literally bought an online RPG engine back in the day. And so 6th grade, there was a piece of software called Realm Crafter. And I think it was 6th grade. It was either 6th grade or, no, sorry, this was 8th grade. I was in like the gifted and talented program in Texas. And so our English class was like GT English or whatever they called it. And you got to do an independent study for the last semester of the second semester of the school year. And mine was, how can I make an online video game? And so I literally like used this engine to make a like modern day themed MMO, and then I loaded it on like the 15 computers in the classroom, and everyone connected to play. But like MMOs in general have always been kind of like my real favorite kind of game, but it just takes the right kind of, people to get together and the right person to enjoy it. But people that I've played those games with, man, like I've met people all over the country that I met them in person that I met playing those games. And I'm still good friends with them today. So, it can be something that's just you're getting on, hanging out, doing whatever and leaving, or it can be, you hang out and you talk to these people every single day. So.
And that's actually, I have some people like that from World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So, and now I only talk to like one of them at this point that I still call my friend. So, not that the other isn't, I just haven't spoken to him in a while.
Yeah.
But MMOs have a, great way of doing that kind of stuff.
Especially if you just have time to kill. Back when I'd be single and working way too many hours doing tech work or whatever, I'd just get home and be like, well, this is what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Like, this is literally what I'm doing the rest of the day. So, cool, bye. I think that's kind of the approach, too, is that you feel like you are building towards something. Like, you are working towards goals, but they take work. It's kind of different than, like, so here's an interesting stat. And let me know in the chat if you're like me. I can name... So I've played thousands upon... like, my Steam library is like 500 games, all this stuff, right? I've probably actually completed the story of maybe, like, 5 games.
That's fair.
Period. Like, I own and play tons and tons. I've played thousands of games over my life, whatever. The majority of them are MMOs that I've played the most, right, in terms of time. Mm-hmm. But I, like, never finish single-player games or anything that has a story. Like, I'll play it and I never finish it. So that's what makes me wonder, too, if that has something to do with, like, me enjoying the RPG genre or the... like, anything that's, like, a roguelike game where it changes every time. Yeah. Love that. But, yeah, for whatever reason, like...
Did you play Outer Worlds?
No, but I've heard good things about it. Actually, my favorite single-player game is called Ark. No, wait, what is it? Kingdoms of Amalur.
You know what's funny? And I can say this, I think, now. That's the first ever video game I ever pirated in my whole life, ever. And, the last.
There you go.
Mainly
that's why that company went out of business.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
That's 100% me. However, I did play that game. Now, this story has a good ending. I did buy it later because I liked it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to support it.
So they were making an MMO out of that. So that game was the test run for their MMO engine. And the guy, Larian Studios, that was Kurt Schilling.
Wait, was that Larian Studios?
Yeah.
Oh, as in Divinity? Larian?
Different, I believe, because... whoever owned this entity at the time got shut down. They got purchased by someone, and then they got shut down. Because, they had the full MMO in development. And so Kurt Schilling played EverQuest 2 forever, and like they even had a deal where you could like fight him for real as like an event, and an NPC, which is hilarious to me. But then he was like, I'm going to start maybe it's not Larian, it's something similar though. I don't know. It's close. I may be right though. But I do know that's him, and they were ready to launch the MMO, and then they got purchased and shut down. So, but now you can see, after glazing down as many of these reflections as we can stand to do, if you feel like you covered over one too much, you can just go back over it. If you feel like you need to highlight a portion, you can go back with your brush and do so, glaze back on top. But this is the actual technique that I did. I always try and copy exactly what I do and bring it here for you. But that's what we did here. Difference being, of course, I went back and added matte varnish in these areas. So that's why this isn't as translucent as this shoulder is. One thing that you can do as well is go back through and then take a color like your brony blue, or any of them really, and decide where you want to highlight to go. And you can highlight up some of your little sections of the rock like so. If you really choose to. I didn't. I only did that in maybe 2 little sections on the entire paint job. And my reason for doing so was just to sort of help play with the semi-translucent nature that we have in the sculpt. But that is really it. The whole trick is doing all of your outlines and then glazing them out. 38 Studios, is that it?
That's what my
Kurt
information.
Schilling?
Yeah, Kurt Schilling. 38 Studios is who did
Yeah.
Kingdoms. Or
There you go.
Reckoning.
I don't know why I thought it was Larian, but yeah.
That's why I was confused. I'm like, Larian is like alive and well and awesome right
Yeah,
now.
no, they nuked his poor plan. I remember the event that he had in EverQuest 2 as well because they like had him in this crazy armor set and like he would just destroy you. And you got awarded on like how long you survived type of thing. Like not even if you got close to doing anything to him.
Wow.
But yeah, that was also the first MMO that had a pizza feature. So you could type in /pizza and it would bring up, I believe, a Pizza Hut or a Papa John's online ordering thing. And
Wow.
it was discounted as well.
That's really cool.
So
Yeah, it says here the publishers were 38 Studios and EA.
see, EA, yeah, because
Yeah.
they got purchased by EA.
Yep.
Good old EA. Which is weird. Well, actually, I mean, EA's console titles were, other than obviously their big boys that they only care about now, right? Their sort of independent consoles titles were always pretty decent. And then they just went to the straight, we're only going to make the same game with a new title.
And loot boxes.
Yep.
Also, I feel like you're shooting shots at Madden right now.
What? What's Matt? Is that a sport?
Sports ball.
Are you a sport?
R.I.P. BioWare.
Mwah.
Did BioWare go somewhere? Am I out of the loop here?
Well, they just haven't made anything good in a long time.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. Used to be giants, and now they're not.
Yeah.
That's how it goes, though, man. I feel like, well, the nice thing about gaming in general, the longer you've been involved in video games or even tabletop games, right? You know everything comes and goes in waves. So if something's not popular right now, you just have to wait. So it'll be popular again. But that was it for this week. I know that was really excruciating to just paint a bunch of lines to glaze over them later. That's exactly how we did this effect here. Again, he is shinier here on the right because we didn't varnish him down afterwards, which is what I did. I sprayed matte varnish on him in order to get some of those things to actually show up more. I did highlight a couple of these crystals right above the head. We didn't do those this time, just since we're getting close on our little crunch meter time-wise. But that is the trick. Glazing up and glazing down to get your reflections to show more or less. Down here looks like I used more of the Surf Aqua than I did on this leg. Either way, what varnish do I use for, so Lizair, Lizair, is it Lizard Runner? Is that what that would be? Either way, or Liza Red Runner.
Yeah, that one, I think.
Yeah, the miniatures that are in the actual display room downstairs would have been varnished by the painters. So, because a lot of those were either painted by other artists, right? For Reaper, they get sent in, or they're things that were given. They have some stuff that's donated, whatever. But I know artists all use different stuff. Currently, I like using Vallejo Mecha Air. I think it's probably, for my purposes, the best that I've found. I use it through the airbrush and brush on, and it works super duper well. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Next week, we've got our Friar friend here. So we're going to be working on this guy using all of our different browns and shading options that we have. You can see we have some browns that are more gray, some browns that are more tan, and then obviously rich, deep browns here. Doing separate colors for the satchel, everything like that. This guy's a fun paint, really easy, good way to practice doing texture. We'll actually increase the texture on his paint job even more, and that's relatively it. So, thanks so much again for hanging out with us today. If we're going to go to our wide stream, I think it looks like we might be rating a sculptor.
Yes. It's actually Pixelogic, which is I believe the people that made ZBrush, I think.
Oh, really?
I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Nice.
They're streaming.
Very nice. Let's get them to do some official training for our sculpt. They're like, hey, we'll give you a workshop key.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Here, let me go ahead and cut back here so you can do all your stuff.
It's me. All right, so thanks again for hanging out. Remember, if the kit is ever sold out online, it's being restocked. So they pack more than they put available online, if that makes sense. Remember to join the new Discord. You can do, right there is the link right there to join. There are a bunch of people on there already. There's probably over 500. I think there's over 500 people. Remember, you can always follow everything Reaper on all social media platforms. They are on Reddit, Instagram, Twitter. They're obviously on Twitch. They're on Facebook as well. Dump the images of your painted miniatures in the Facebook group, or if you're posting them anywhere else, make sure you tag Reaper Miniatures, and then that way they'll be able to pull and save your image for whenever we do our review show, because I would love to see how you guys paint these up, right? And we'll be able to review that. That'll be the last episode, I believe, in March. We're going to do that show. And then, again, you can follow me, all things Mini Painting Studio. You can go to minipainting.studio or check me out on Facebook. And that's pretty much it. So thanks again for hanging out. I hope to see your crystal golems sometime soon. And if you have anything else for us out there, Justin?
No. Just if you guys get bored, you can watch me stream video games. I'll stream basically Monday through Friday at nighttime. And maybe I'll play some AoE with Josh. We can all have some banter. It'll be fun.
Ooh, banter. That's a capital B right there.
And that would be twitch.tv/Juhroid. Juhroid. Thanks, guys.
All right, yeah, thanks so much, guys. And we're going to go raid this channel.
Yes,
So.
spread the Reaper love. Keep being awesome. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning.
See you later.
Peace, guys.